फाउंडेशन व एहसास वुमेन की ओर से आप सभी का स्वागत करती हूँ। प्रभा केतान फाउंडेशन भारत और दुनिया भर के करीब 30 शहरों में साहित्य और सांस्कृतिक गतिविधियों के साथ महिलाओं को सशक्त बनाने के अभियान से जुड़ा हुआ है। कलम नामक ये आयोजन भी उसी पहल का एक हिस्सा है। अपनी भाषा, अपने लोक की सोच के तहत यह आयोजन नामचीन लेखकों और उनके पाठकों को एक ऐसा मंच मुहैया कराता है जहां वे सीधे आपस में संवाद कर सकते हैं। कोरोना के नए माहौल और चुनौतियों के तालमेल बिठाते हुए फाउंडेशन ने कलम के सत्रों को वर्चुअल कर दिया है ताकि साहित्य प्रेमी अपने घर में सुरक्षित माहौल में ऐसे कार्यक्रमों का आनंद उठा सके। हमें खुशी है कि कलम में आज इस सत्र में अतिथि के रूप में हमारे साथ आज हैं अनुराधा बेनीवाल। अनुराधा का जन्म हरियाणा के रोहतक जिले में खेड़ी महम गांव में हुआ। इनकी 12वीं तक की अनौपचारिक पढ़ाई पिता श्री कृष्ण सिंह बेनीवाल की देखरेख में घर में हुई। 15 वर्ष की आयु में अनुराधा राष्ट्रीय शतरंज प्रतियोगिता की विजेता रही। 16 वर्ष की आयु में विश्व शतरंज प्रतियोगिता में भारत का प्रतिनिधित्व भी किया। दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय के मिरांडा हाउस कॉलेज से अंग्रेजी भाषा में बीए ऑनर्स करने के बाद अनुराधा ने भारतीय विद्यापीठ लॉ कॉलेज पुणे से एलएलबी की पढ़ाई की। बाद में महर्षि दयानंद विश्वविद्यालय रोहतक से अंग्रेजी विषय में एमए भी किया। अंग्रेजी अखबार इंडियन एक्सप्रेस के लिए एक समय ब्लॉग लिखती रही अनुराधा अंग्रेजी के कई ट्रैवल वेबसाइट्स के लिए भी अपने यात्रा संस्मरण लिख चुकी हैं। बावजूद इसके कि हिंदी भाषा इनके अध्ययन का विषय नहीं रही, लेकिन इनकी पहली किताब हिंदी में अंग्रेजी मेरा ब्रांड नाम से है। यह एक यात्रा वृतांत है जिससे मिली सीख केवल देश विदेश की यात्रा तक सीमित नहीं है। यह जीवन यात्रा में आपकी प्रेरणा का एक स्रोत बन सकती है। अब मैं आपका ज्यादा समय ना लेते हुए आज की चर्चा के लिए अनुराधा बेनीवाल जी को आमंत्रित करती हूँ। उनसे बातचीत करेंगी मेरी सहभागी एहसास विमेन प्रियंका कोठारी। ओवर टू यू प्रियंका।
थैंक यू विजय। थोड़ा सा आई जस्ट लाइक टू करेक्ट, उनकी बुक का नाम है आज़ादी मेरा ब्रांड और इसके लिए उनको सृजनात्मक गद्य सम्मान भी मिला है जो दिस शी इज द यंगेस्ट टू विन दिस अवार्ड. I so welcome you, Anuradha, that you have taken up time from your Jaisalmer trip, and I'd like to inform that she's joining us from Jaisalmer and a village away 25 kilometers away from Jaisalmer. Yeah, so I've been reading about you and reading your book. तो मुझे एक बहुत ही पूरे टाइम एक ऑपोजिट्स मिलते जाते हैं. मुझे सबसे दिलचस्प बात आपकी ये लग रही है कि आप पहले एक चेस प्लेयर हैं. आपने अंडर 16 में नेशनल चैंपियन रह चुकी हैं जहां पे आपको 4 चालें आगे तक सोच के रखनी पड़ती हैं एंड बिल्कुल प्लान करके चलना पड़ता है. और कट नाउ आप प्रेजेंट में बिल्कुल अनप्लान्ड एक सोलो ट्रैवलर है. ये ऑपोजिट कैसे हो गया? मतलब ये थॉट प्रोसेस एकदम चेंज कैसे हो गया या सिर्फ हमारा पर्सपेक्टिव देखने में चेंज हुआ है? यू आर द सेम. अनुराधा, कैन यू हियर अस? अनुराधा जी, I think we've lost her again. But we can see if she's still online.
So she was online. I think she logged off and she'll log in again. Yeah.
Actually, she's pretty far off from the city, so maybe. Has she logged in again? I can't see her. She's back.
Sorry, I got disconnected, but I heard your question. I'm so sorry. I've got the, so I am in Jaisalmer, but I'm staying in a village near Jaisalmer, but today I came to Jaisalmer just for this so that I don't get disconnected. But apparently this is also not
No worries.
anyway, I hope I don't disconnect now. I'm sitting in a hotel. It's called Mystic Jaisalmer, and this is where I started my journey 12 years ago. This is where I came 12 years ago when I started
It's a full
traveling in
circle
India.
now.
Really you when you asked me, so I was like chess player and I could think 4 moves ahead, but then you see a lot of like dichotomy, you see then I didn't hear you finish it. Sorry, can you finish it?
So I wanted to ask, like, first,
Sorry, can you repeat your question? Yeah.
so I wanted to ask कि आप पहले इतना प्लान चलती थी और अब एकदम से अनप्लान चल रही हैं. So how do you take life, or how did this transition happen?
How do I take life? Okay, I think I didn't hear you properly, but I think I've understood what you're saying. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think probably I played chess all my childhood. I started playing when I was 6 years old and I played till I was 18. And I think I got too bored of planning everything and knowing everything that's ahead of me. I still can see a lot of things ahead of me because my mind is made up like that, because I played like I was trained like that. So in fact, I got so bored of knowing everything in advance ahead that I dropped. I'm like, okay, I think I should do
Done
things.
with it.
It can get really boring if you know
Very
everything that's gonna
predictable.
yeah, it's very predictable. So I think I chose, when I stopped playing chess, I chose to do something completely random. And now even if I know things in advance, I try not to look at them. And I'm like, if someone asks me what are you going to do tomorrow, I tell them I'll look at the sunrise and decide what I'm going to do tomorrow. So I'm doing completely opposite of what I did as a child.
So what did you enjoy more? Like, did you enjoy chess? आपको उतनी रुचि थी चेस में कि बस वो हो गया था? जैसे आप आई मीन जैसे आपको होम स्कूल करा गया था और आप 10-10 घंटे चेस खेलती थी, तो वो आपकी चॉइस थी कि वो मतलब आपके
Yeah,
फादर,
was it forced on me?
so you had a bapu हानिकारक happening to you, is it?
Something of that sort. As a child, to be honest, nobody wants to sit on a table for 10 hours straight. And when I used to play chess, a match would last more than 7 hours. I was good at necessary. I liked it. It was okay, as in I didn't know anything else. So I was okay at it. I liked it more than school, I guess. So I like playing chess, but I wouldn't say I loved it. I wouldn't say, oh, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it.
Given a choice.
All my better than me that I needed. Being born in Haryana and being born in a Haryanvi little village, he knew the society. He knew what was good for me and what would get me, the license to travel, to wear what I want, to be a free individual. So probably he knew more than me. So I'm glad he introduced me to chess. In fact, chess was not on his mind. He wanted me to do any sports for that matter, because Haryana has a very strong supporting culture, sports
Sporting.
culture, a sporting culture, and a lot of sports is happening in Haryana. And he knew that being a sports person, you get a lot of liberty to, how you can wear track pants, how you can go jogging alone. When a normal regular girl goes out by herself, or is running, or wearing shorts, or traveling solo, a lot of questions are being asked, like why. But being a sports person, you get a lot of um, leverage. So like ये तो खेलती है, ये तो खेलती है, ये खिलाड़ी है. So probably he knew that he never wanted me to do like well in academics or education. He's like, I want you to do sports. It could be anything. It could be wrestling, boxing, football.
Okay.
I did everything. Or I did, like, he took me to every akhada possible, every stadium possible, every sport possible. But I was a very not a very healthy child, like physically. So I chose chess, because I didn't have to run around or kick anyone or get kicked by anyone.
Wow, but I think you're one of those lucky girls probably to be in Haryana and to have a father like him. I think that is. So you said you then went to become a solo traveler. So there are a lot of misnomers about कि solo traveling क्या होता है. Like, when I was young and we've grown up on travel, living, discovery होता था पहले, and तब देखकर used to
Priyanka,
feel.
your voice is not audible.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, it's audible for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Priyanka,
can hear
you're not audible.
Am I audible?
Is this my connection or Priyanka's? I don't know.
Yes, Anuradha ji, we can hear Priyanka.
Okay, I can't hear the question at all.
Should I type it in the chat? Is it?
Priyanka, I can't hear your question. I can hear you.
Priyanka,
Can you hear me now? Can you hear us now? Any of us?
I'm sorry, Priyanka, could you repeat the question?
I wanted to ask you, what is आप सोलो ट्रैवलर कैसे डिफाइन करते हैं? बहुत लोगों में बहुत मिसनोमर है कि या बहुत मिथ्स है सोलो ट्रैवलर के बारे में कि आप अकेले क्या करेंगे या अकेले घूमने में आपको क्या मजा आएगा. So can you just थोड़ा सा can you introduce us to what a solo traveler routine is like or a day is like?
Yes. Okay. I started traveling solo when exactly 11 years ago or 12 years ago. And for me, a lot of my friends would ask me, like, why don't take us along, or what's up with you? Like, why are you going solo? But for me, it's very important. Like, even today, I'm traveling solo. I started driving from Haryana two weeks ago, or more than 2 weeks ago. Now I've been in Jaisalmer for 10 days. So around 17 days ago, I started traveling, and I'm driving and I'm stopping wherever I feel like stopping. So for me, traveling solo is, when you travel with friends or family, it's nice. It could be for fun, but for me, traveling is not just fun. It's okay. I like traveling, but for me, I don't travel for fun. For me, just for fun. For me, traveling is also self-discovery, also knowing people, and through knowing them, knowing myself. So it's not like I'm traveling solo, so I'm partying and I'm having fun. When you're alone, it's you can talk to other people. Like, for example, if I'm sitting in a restaurant alone, I can join other people, or I can ask questions, or they can ask me questions. It's more accessible. When you're with family, you're more like having fun, and when you're with each other, and you're also taking care of each other's interests and needs. So it's a different kind of traveling. For me, traveling solo is important to self-discover and to know people more, really. I'll give you an example. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you an example. So I came here, what is the day today? What's the day today? It's Wednesday, right?
Today is
So I
9th.
came, I came here exactly 8 days ago, and I was traveling from Mandawa to Jaisalmer. I was driving, so I didn't know where I'm going to stay, but I had heard of Khimsar. So at Khimsar, there's a hotel, but I didn't want to stay in a hotel. I really wanted to just camp. I'm traveling in a car, so I have like my kambal and whatever chai ka saman, everything in the car. So I thought I'll camp, but I had never camped before in India, so I was not sure how safe, or so I wanted to experiment कि India में कितना सुरक्षित है. Like I've traveled abroad alone and camped alone, but I wasn't sure how safe it is in India. So I went to the location of the hotel in the dunes, but I did not go to the hotel. And there were so I thought I'll ask someone like the dhani. You call like यहाँ पे जो खेत होते हैं जहाँ पे एक दो घर होते हैं उसको ढानी कहते हैं. So I reached a dhani and I was like, I'm going to inform like a house or a family that I'm going to camp here, so that they don't get worried, or they don't suspect like who's this person. And also I feel like a little sense of security that someone knows that I'm here. But then I went to the house and there were two women alone, just doing their household chores, and I asked them if they would give me chai, and if I can camp in their house, because it was in the dhani. So in the beginning they were not sure, and they said we are alone in the house, so we don't know. And I said I'm alone as well, and they didn't believe me. They looked at my Scorpio and they were like, "Are you driving this?" And I said yes. And they were very like not sure. So, but in the end, they let me. They fed me. They gave me chai. They gave me a place to sleep. I slept outside the house. They gave me a cart. So I was thinking to myself, if I was with someone else, this wouldn't be possible. Or even if I was with another girlfriend, it wouldn't be possible. It was me alone, like a woman alone traveling. So they were more like curious and also less afraid and more welcoming. Although they weren't like super welcoming, but still they accepted me because I was alone. So I do these, you know, things, experiments, and which are only possible when you're alone. And also little things like what time do you want to wake up, or what time do you want to go to sleep, or what do you want to do during the day. And for me, mostly like I don't know what I'm going to do during the day. If someone asks me what's the plan tomorrow, I don't know. So with someone it gets a bit difficult. I would rather just decide based on what I see, what I feel today. And a lot of times I don't feel like doing anything. I just want to do nothing. I just want to sit and write. So probably my company would get really bored, and I don't want to be worried for my company and taking care of like how to entertain my company. So yeah, a lot of things about traveling solo are wonderful, are gorgeous. These are a few of them I can remember.
So, I mean, it does sound exciting, and I think everyone should do it once, like the way you described. It really
Oh,
pushes you to do
exactly.
it. Like, एक बार तो बनता है to do that. But
I would
taking,
advise that to everyone.
taken, you know, like इतने सारी चीजें, इतने stereotypes जुड़े हैं solo and women solo traveling से. अब उनसे कैसे उभरी? मतलब इंडिया सेफ नहीं है, गर्ल्स के लिए तो बिल्कुल भी सेफ नहीं है, ट्रैवलिंग मिडिल क्लास लोगों के लिए नहीं है, लग्जरी है, and then there's you who's like backpacking around the world, I mean, and also India, and trying to experiment. So have आपको कभी कोई ऐसा एक्सपीरियंस हुआ है कि आपको लगा नहीं, you know, this is not the, मतलब आपका कितनी भी इच्छा हो बट आपको लगता है नहीं ये होगा नहीं, मतलब I mean obviously आप बहुत fearless हैं, but सबको एक बार तो डर लगता है, या कहीं एक पॉइंट आता है जब आपको लगता है कि नहीं ये नहीं हो रहा है.
Sure. So to answer all your questions in one, see, traveling solo in India is probably new, but now no more. Like probably when I started traveling 12, 13 years ago, it was more new. So now a lot of girls are traveling alone. Traveling in Europe and States have been like normal, like women there to travel solo themselves, so not a big thing. Here, of course, there are a lot of stereotypes. When I started in the beginning, people would get worried, like, did you have a breakup, or what's wrong with you? Are you having, like, are you depressed? Are you having trouble at home? Why you're traveling alone? No, not anymore. Not anymore. Like, people are more used to seeing women on the road or women traveling solo. Even in Jaisalmer, like, I don't feel those questions are no more there. So also people needs to be used to new things in order to them getting used to it. For example, when I started riding a scooter somewhat 15 years ago, there was nobody riding a scooter in my village, so everyone just like looked at me like, you know, I'm some sort of alien. But now a lot of women drive scooters and scooties, so it's not a big deal. So when you know, it's when you see a lot, when you see a lot of people doing it, a lot of girls doing it, it becomes just normal. That's what I have seen, like, in India happening. It's not a big deal anymore. Although, like, driving by myself, and you know, girls don't drive SUVs a lot, so they still look at me, but it's okay. As in, I feel people need to look at more and more women in order to get used to them. So I say in my first book as well, like, तुम चलोगी तो तुम्हारी बेटी भी चलेगी, और फिर मेरी बेटी भी चलेगी, और फिर उन सबको सभी को हमारे चलने की आदत हो जाएगी, और आदत नहीं हो जाएगी तो आदत डलवानी पड़ेगी. So yeah, I'm sorry, I lost a few other things that you asked.
So I mean, that's where I was getting, because the kind of stories you hear every day about women's security.
Yeah,
and
sorry. I was going to answer that. So you know, you got to be careful. Definitely careful. You need to be very aware of your surroundings, and the difference between India and abroad is you need to be more careful here. I wouldn't say it's unsafe. Or it is as well. I haven't faced it. I have been here. I have been traveling for a long time, and I've traveled alone from Kashmir to Sikkim to Calcutta to south of India and Rajasthan and MP alone. And I haven't. There have been a few incidences. For example, I had a car follow me when I was coming to Jaisalmer. I had a car follow me for some time, and follow me, and then I suspected that someone is following, so I stopped, and that car as well stopped. So I got a bit more like aware of what's happening. So you need to be aware of what's happening around you. So you need to be more careful of your surroundings, what you're wearing, what time of the day and stuff like that. So these things which are annoying, which shouldn't exist, but are there. So I take care of my surrounding where I am, and I pick my battles accordingly. So I wouldn't just be careful. I think if you're just being careful, it's fine. There are times when I'm scared. For example, when I stayed in that house, I have written a story about it. Probably I'll share it sometime. So, you know, I got scared in the night when men of the house came and neighbors came to see me, and they woke me up in the middle of the night and asked me questions like where I'm from and why I'm alone. So there are times when you're scared, but you know, I chose this life, and I feel like fine. Isn't I also believe in you know, in life, in the sense, everyone has to die one day. Everyone will be, you know, so might as well die doing what you love. And And I also like when I resigned from my regular job when I was in Pune, 10-11 years ago, and I wrote no, I didn't write it. I was listening to a lot that मौत अंत है नहीं तो मौत से भी क्यों डरे तो जाके आसमान में दहाड़ दो. So I'm like, it's fine. It's fine, as in it can end anytime, but I would rather have it end in middle of a desert where I love it, instead of being in a house, because it ends for everyone. So it's not like if you were I was so careful that I lived like I outlived everybody in the world. No, everyone will in the end die. Khatam honge sab. So I would rather die doing what I love, and I may not. But nobody's safe, right? Safety is a myth, and home being safe at home is the never. Yeah, that's what I feel.
I mean, you are with us. I think is the best example for us to not be scared to step out like that, or let our daughters step out, or even our sons if they just want to go on a solo trip. You just need to be careful, right? Anuradha, are you still with us?
Probably, I don't know if you can type your. Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah. So,
hello.
Yeah. Okay, we couldn't see you, so I was only wondering. No worries. So, how did you get into writing?
Priyanka?
How did you get? Yeah.
Disconnected again.
No, she's there.
Here I am.
Yeah.
She's there. Can you type down the question?
Okay, I wanted to ask, how did you switch to writing? Like, were you always keen on writing and journaling your travels, or it happened like you started your blogs and then moved to like, how did the writing happen, and how does this book happen?
Yeah.
Hi, I got your question. I'm sorry. I think I had got disconnected, but I got your question. How I moved to writing, how I started writing. It was a long. I think it was very organic. I started writing because I don't know. It was trendy to write blogs a long time ago, but I started writing in English, and I had a lot to say. So I thought I wanted to say a lot of things. So I started writing in English, but I never felt at home with English. I always felt this sort of pressure that I had to be perfect in order to be able to write anything. So it was I didn't feel at home. It was only when I switched to Hindi I felt I'm home, and I never stopped after that. When I got introduced that writing in Hindi is possible. Like when I was in college or school or working, I didn't come across Hindi writers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I didn't come across Hindi blogs or Hindi posts. Now it's more, I think, trendy. But at that time, only writing in English and writing blogs was trendy. But when I started writing in Hindi, it was really love at first sight. I felt home. I felt I could express myself easily. I didn't feel judged. I didn't feel any pressure. I didn't feel I had to prove anything to anyone. I was very comfortable, and I could say whatever I wanted without being worried of the punctuations or grammar or commas or whatever. So I felt very much at home, and since then I've been writing in Hindi.
So how did this book happen? Like, did you plan to journal it as a, like, do you make notes while you travel, is it? Or
Okay, yeah, this question. So the book happened when I don't take notes even today when I know that maybe one day I'll write about it, I still fail to take notes, because when I start taking notes, I feel I'm losing, I'm I connect less and I see less. So I don't take notes. I feel like a journalist, which I'm not when I'm taking notes. So I really write based on my memory. So the book happened. I had traveled. I was in Europe, and I traveled without thinking of writing a book. I just traveled and didn't take any notes or nothing. I didn't even blog a lot about it. I just wrote a few Facebook posts. And when I came back, I had a lot to tell. I had a lot of stories. So I was like, whoever would come home, I'd tell them this is what I did and that's. So I had a lot of stories to tell, and I used to make voice notes and send it to my buas and my masis that this is what I did. And so I would tell them, and I would tell them different stories of different countries. So a friend of mine, Priyanka Dubey, who is herself is a very beautiful writer. So she was visiting and she was like, put it in my head, like, why don't you write a book? And I was like, how do people write books? Writing book is not easy, and I'm not a writer, and I've never thought of writing a book. And she's like, but you have stories, and that's what a writer is. Writers tell stories, and I think you can write a book. And it was her who put it in my head the first time. And then Mr. Satyan and Nirupam, who is commissioning editor of Rajkamal, I was connected with his wife on Facebook, and she was reading my post, and probably she connected me to him, and he wrote me an email saying, I looked at your posts and they seem interesting. Would you be interested in writing a book? And this all happened together simultaneously. And I was like, okay, if you think I can write a book, I will try. But I was still not sure if I'll be able to write a book. Even today, I don't feel like a writer. I'm not very confident that I'll be able to do a book, but I'm definitely a stories to tell, a lot of stories to share. I still can't call myself a writer, but the book has happened. It was not
Oh, that's
planned.
a bestseller, and I've been reading. So it's beautiful writing, and
Thank
what I
you.
feel like you have described your journeys, like your journeys through the countries and your journeys within. Like there's so much reflection happening which we can relate to. Um, so it's really interesting to be reading, which is not a travelogue. It doesn't feel like a travelogue, and still you're visiting those places with you. So I wanted to move to your other the London part of you, and like you have formed a, company now. You coach and you play also for Cambridge. So how do you feel like? What's the difference in the chess scene in India and chess scene in UK? And why are there still so less women in chess? Still, uh, and how is it like in London? Are there like more participation of women, or is the same there?
Hi. So I formed a company in London because I needed something to pay my rent and pay for my travels.
Mhm.
It was not because of love of chess. So I started a company, and I like teaching kids. I love interacting with children. So that was another thing. I also played to pay my bills daily, not because when I moved to London, I've also written it in my book. I didn't know what to do. I wanted to earn money, but I'm not an IT person. I don't know coding, computers. I I have no qualifications that would give me a job in London. So I remembered chess and I started playing chess, and I started teaching chess, and that's how chess company happened. And to answer your question about less women playing chess, it's about women don't take up anything that's out of the norm or the normal, and anywhere in the world really. As in, women choose security over or also parents don't invest in women, like they invest in, okay, ye pad legi, doctor ban jayegi, engineer ban jayegi, ya kuch job lag jayegi, not like out of the blue jobs or things that we'll see. So it could be adventure, as in women don't take up that. And also there's so many challenges, like women traveling alone, because when you're a sports person, you got to travel alone. You need coaching, and so a lot of incidences of harassment, and in any sport like boxing and wrestling and badminton and tennis and chess. So it's not a lot of women I know had to leave chess or left chess because they couldn't travel alone, or if their coach was a noise. So yeah, we still have a lot of challenges to overcome. So I think that is one reason that less and less women in any
Many
field
countries.
of outside normal. Um, yeah, that's where any country really, like some are worse than the other, but in any country the challenges are same.
For women.
In fact, India has more chess players, more women chess players, a lot of chess players.
Oh, that's nice
India
to
is a
hear.
very strong chess country. We are very hardworking children, like very strong. I think the strongest, one of the strongest countries in the world when it comes to chess. Because chess demands hard work,
Mhm.
and you can do a lot with little facility. So we are really hardworking people. So chess has a very good scene, very good future in India.
So is this the reason why you started the Geo Beti initiative where you trained
Can't hear anyone.
you're training girls for coaching for chess, yeah, for coaching also. I mean, I really like the perspective where you want to coach them to coach so that at least they can complete
Yeah.
their studies. Are you with us?
I heard your question about GeoBeti, so I'm just going to answer. I'm going to talk about GeoBeti a little. GeoBeti is something I love. I can say I love more than traveling or more than playing chess myself. GeoBeti is, I spend time with girls in the villages, little villages, where I teach them chess. More to not really to make them big chess players, but to teach them chess where they can learn this sport, because there's less of resistance from the family, because you don't need to wear special clothes, or you don't need to run, or you can just sit at home and play. So there's less resistance, but there's a lot happening on the chessboard. You decide for yourself, you decide what move you're going to make next. Anything from what they're going to wear to who they're going to marry, what they're going to study, what they're going to become. I think chess teaches them to take decisions, take their own decisions, plan their moves, plan ahead. So I think chess is great as a game just to learn. And I like spending, I was born in a village, and that's where my heart lies. I love spending time in a village, staying away from technology, staying with people, living very basic life. So I enjoy doing that a lot, connecting with rural India, where I interact with the girls. So I stay with them for a month. I teach them chess. They form a group where they can. Once I teach them, they can teach themselves and teach others. So this is what I did last year, but due to COVID, the schools are closed. So that's chess is not working anymore. So now I'm just teaching them not chess, but I'm still in a village and trying to teach them whatever I can. So I was teaching counting and letters and how to write your name. So just in the end, it's just an excuse to connect with rural India. and connect with the people and the girls in the villages, and just be with them. Actually, you don't need doing much. Just be an example. Just be there. Talk to them. Just be around them. And when they see you, that, oh my God, she's from a village and she's traveling herself and she's driving and she's taking her own decisions. She has her own money. Just being there is, I think, is in a way inspiring and empowering for them. And yeah, that's what GeoBT is. It's an excuse to connect with girls in the villages.
Yeah, you are actually. Yeah, you are quite inspiring for all of us who have this like little stereotype. We have ourselves bound ourselves actually with those stereotypes, and we keep on giving it to our children also. Ki it's time पे से step out नहीं करना है, and don't do this and don't do that. We do it very unconditionally in spite of being however, you know. So people like you are a great inspiration, and to to think with a different perspective. So I mean, so being in London, what do you miss most about India or Haryana there? Like the warmth or the people, is it? Or
Till the time, Priyanka, can we ask everybody to get ready with their questions if they have
yeah,
any?
yeah.
Yeah. So in the meantime, if any of you guys have any questions that you want to interact with the author as she comes, we can unmute you and give you the space to really ask a question.
Sorry, Priyanka. I think
No worries, no
you
worries.
were talking about how inspiring I am, and
Yeah,
then
and
you
yeah, so
asked
you
me
were talking
something about
about your
Haryana.
village. So I was
Yeah.
just wondering, like, what do you miss about? What's the, I mean, but also now that you've been interacting with a lot of backpackers who come to India, so what is their take on India? Do they find it safe, unsafe, good, bad? Like what is their perspective about India?
I'll be honest, I'm not interacting with anyone, backpackers, because, well, there's no backpackers at the moment.
No,
It's
no,
shut down.
if,
So nobody is
but
coming from
generally, if
outside.
you have,
I only interacted with them like a lot of years ago. And they're used to the world. Backpackers don't have any misconceptions or notions. They're aware of the world. So I'm not talking about the current situation because I haven't
Mhm.
interacted with them in years. And I'll answer. I don't know. I didn't hear your full question, but I had something to say. So I'll just say that. Like, it isn't easy. It's not like, oh, I'm so courageous and I'm so brave and I just go out. It's not. As in, coming out of the house is not easy. I don't feel like coming out of the house a lot of times. And I'm like, you know, mm, it's a comfortable house. What are you going to do outside? Why are you driving? But when you're on the road, it's worth it. It's
Mhm.
because once you taste it, that you've tasted that once, when you tasted traveling alone, when you tasted this what self discovery is, when you're really with yourself, it's addictive and it's so beautiful that you let go of the comfort, and it's not easy. You're fighting with a lot of things. I have to let go of a lot of things to do a lot of things I want to do. So I didn't want to settle for what I was told to settle for. I chose a different life. I chose a totally different nomad's life. And there's a price you pay, but it's totally absolutely worth it when I look at the sunset from wherever I want to. And so it's not, I wouldn't say it's easy and you just, if you're brave, you can do it. It's something that I don't know, it's something when I started traveling long ago, I came to realize, everyone is made to do something. and everyone finds like their happiness in something they do. It could be anything. It's not traveling. I wouldn't say, oh, go travel solo, everyone will find what they have to find. For it's different for everyone. For me, it was traveling. For me, when I stepped out, um, I I was like, okay, this makes me really happy, and this makes me really a better person, not just happy, also a better person. Also, it makes me understand more other people more. It makes me look at poverty, firsthand. It makes me look at illiteracy. It makes me look at everything that we hear of, or know of on TV, or on in the books. I see it, and it's very humbling. It's very, very humbling to see lives of people, different lives of people. And also it breaks a lot of stereotypes in your head also, like people in the villages would be like that, or people in the cities would be like that, or this caste people would be like that, or this kind of religion people would be like that, or this country's people would be like that. In the end, is just we are in the next book I write about stories of different people from different parts of the world who are like, could be completely different if you read them in books, or just like, for example, a lesbian couple. We like, okay, how would they live? Or a grandma in Russia, what would she be like? But in the end, we are all just the same. I have come to realize that we're all looking for love and respect and peace and really shanti. In the end, everyone is looking for the same thing, whether they're from Russia or Lithuania or Norway or whatever they have. They're all looking for love, respect, and peace. And traveling makes you realize that world is
All the same.
all the same, and it's beautiful, and you
Only divide
learn to trust
borders.
humanity,
Yeah.
and you believe in humanity, and it's just beautiful. It's there's so much goodness. It's humbling. There's so much more goodness than there is bad in the world. Definitely, that's what I've come to realize in 34 years of my life, that there's more goodness in the world than there is bad. So whatever little bad is should not stop you from doing whatever you want to do. Fight for it.
Beautiful. Now, you also answered my question about your next book, like what are we looking up to? I wanted to ask about that. Also, now we do a little rapid fire in most of our Kalam and our sessions. So this is a small thing, like whatever comes first in your mind. Can you, so the first word is Azadi.
Being myself, to be able to be myself.
Brand.
Azadi.
Chess.
Hard work.
Dreams.
Dreams. Just to see sunset every day.
Bucket list.
To see sunset every day.
Wow, I mean, I think all of us could do each day if we could get to Rajasthan.
Love.
Travel.
Very important for me.
Writing.
Have to do it. It's a necessity.
And London.
Hard work. Cold, wet, dark.
So that was my question, which we missed out on. Like, what is the contrast? Like, Haryana is so warm, like people-wise, weather-wise, and London is quite an opposite. So, like, how do you cope up?
I don't know how I did, really, to be honest. I lived there for 7 years. I still live there. I have a house in London, but I don't spend a lot of time there, and I don't want to. I miss the sun. I'm a sun person. I have to see sun every day, and I miss sun so much. So I've decided to move back to India, and I only go during the summers there. But I spend more and more time in India, and I love India with all its pollution, with all its dirt, with all its whatever it has, it's my country and I love it so much. And it's unbearable to live away. uh, and it's not, I wouldn't say it's the best country in the world. No, it has all its
Pause.
bad things,
No.
all its flaws, but it's my country. I
Yeah.
connect with it, and I connect with the sun, I connect with the air, I connect with the food, I connect with the people, their dreams, their lives. And it's so important for me. And people, first didn't believe me when I said I'm moving back to India, and they didn't believe me first. And they said, no, everyone says that when you live there for a few days and you see the pollution, when you breathe the dirt, you will come back. And no, I breathe it every day, and I love it. And now they've started to believe me that I'm really moving back, and I love it. I love also knowing things, the familiarity of things. And yeah, I miss the food and miss everything about it. It's nice to be in London. It's been a kind city to me. I have my work there, I have my company there, but I can't call it home. I could never call it home. It's nice, it's been kind, but I'm an immigrant there, and I don't want to live as an immigrant all my life. And, it's not easy for an immigrant, wherever it is. It's great to be in my own country with its flaws, obviously. And but then where do you, every country has its own flaws. Where are you going to run? Till where? Till when? So I would rather be here with the flaws and fight them off, or not, but be here.
Thank you so much. There are few questions we could take from the audience.
Sure.
Parveen.
Yeah, so I will unmute Vandana Solanki. आप अपना क्वेश्चन पूछ सकते हैं वंदना जी. आप अपने आप को अनम्यूट कर दीजिए.
हेलो.
हेलो वंदना.
हाँ अनुराधा, नमस्कार.
नमस्कार.
आपकी किताब के बारे में रविश कुमार से सुना था एनडीटीवी में और उसके बाद मंगवाई. बहुत अच्छी लगी, बहुत ज्यादा अच्छी लगी. मेरा खुद का कब से मन था ऐसा घूमने का, अभी तक तो घूम नहीं पाई लेकिन शायद कभी घूमूंगी. मेरा पूछना ये था कि आपको इस यात्रा के बाद क्या बदलाव आया है, यानी नजरिए में क्या परिवर्तन हुआ, जीवन के प्रति नजरिए में, लोगों के प्रति नजरिए में?
सिर्फ इस किताब के बाद नहीं वंदना जी, जो कि किताब तो मैंने 6 साल पहले ट्रैवल किया था उसके बारे में लिखी, और उसके बाद मैं हर साल ट्रैवल कर रही हूँ. तो मेरे अंदर परिवर्तन बहुत सारे हुए हैं, बट लोगों से मिलना और लोगों से ऑनेस्टली बात कर पाना बिना टेक्नोलॉजी के या सोशल मीडिया के ने मैं बोलूँगी, मैं शब्द यूज करूँगी, ठीक किया है काफी. मतलब मैं ठीक होती हूँ जैसे मैं लोगों से इंटरेक्ट करती हूँ. मुझे खुद को देखने में हेल्प करता है, खुद को विटनेस करने में, खुद को ग्रो करने में हेल्प करता है. लोगों से ऑनेस्ट कॉन्वर्सेशन करना, उनको देख पाना, उनके जीवन को देख पाना, खुद को भी जानने में मदद करता है. I think I am definitely becoming a better person. And that's what the goal is. And when people ask, what's your ambition? I would just say to become a better person, to be less angry, to be less jealous, to be less greedy, to be less इन सब चीज़ों को मैं देख पाऊँ और बेहतर बन पाऊँ. एंड ट्रैवलिंग और लोगों से मिलना मुझे बेहतर इंसान बनाता है. That's what I would say.
अंतर है यात्रा है असल में ये यात्रा.
हाँ जी. थैंक यू वंदना जी. नेक्स्ट मैं मोनिका भगवावर को अनम्यूट करना चाहूंगी. उनका एक क्वेश्चन है. मोनिका, कैन यू प्लीज अनम्यूट योरसेल्फ?
Hi Anuradha, great to hear you.
Hi Monica.
I have a very interesting question. I hope it is the same to you. My question to you is that, do you identify yourself with Bill Bryson? Do you know Bill Bryson?
I know Bill Bryson. I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of his shows.
No.
I'll be
He's the
honest.
guy who travels. He's the guy
I
who
know.
travels all over and
And
he
makes,
writes
yeah.
books. So
And he's no more, right?
he reminded me a lot of you. He reminded me a lot of you. No?
No,
No. Okay.
I haven't seen him a lot, so I haven't seen his or read his
All
books
right.
or seen his shows.
What
No, I wouldn't.
in all your travels, would you like to quickly share one of the most unique experiences you may have in India or elsewhere?
I think it just happened last week when I was sharing when I stayed in that village in Khimsar, and I've written a story about it. And that was really interesting because it was in my own country in India, and that was the first time I'm traveling alone. And I knock at someone's house and ask them to like just give me chai, and they do, and they make really good chai, and they make food for me, and I sleep outside in the courtyard, and it is at Dhani, and I don't know anyone, and it was really unique because it was also in the night. I felt a bit of fear in me because I was like, my car was parked right outside. I'm in someone's house I don't know. I'm in a village where I don't know. I didn't even speak their language. They spoke in Marwadi. I could only pick up a few words. And there were people who kept coming from, like, when they got to know that someone is staying here, they kept coming and they would wake me up and say, Mehman utho, and would ask me questions like, where are you from and why are you alone? And I was woken up like 4 or 5 times in the night with like men coming, women coming, and I asked myself this question that, Anu, aren't you scared? Like, what if something happens to you? Okay, forget if something happens to you. You have your car, you have your phone, you have your money and everything. What if they steal it and you just left here by yourself? And I am like, okay, I wear kali in my neck, and I'm like, okay, we'll see to that when that happens. I'm talking to myself. I'm like, jab wo hoga, fir wo dekhenge. And that was very interesting. It was like, dekhte hain, if my own people can do that to me, I'll see if that happens. So I think that was interesting.
Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Monica. And last, we have a question from Karman Satha. And Karman, can you unmute yourself if you want to ask a question?
Hello, Anuradha.
Hi, Karman.
Thank you for a very exciting session, very interesting indeed.
Thank you.
I want to ask you, you have spoken of your fears very often, and you have spoken of your, of your awareness.
Sorry, I can't hear you. Is this me or it's just you?
Cannot hear me? Okay, I'll try and speak a little more loudly.
Guys, is this me or is this?
Yeah, we can hear Karman. We can hear you.
Yeah, we could hear you.
Okay. So you have spoken of your fears, you have spoken of your awareness of the fact that India can be a little unsafe for women. So I want to ask you, how do you conquer your fears? I mean, what do you do? Do you just carry on despite your fears? I would be afraid of, traveling solo, at least in India. So.
Yeah, thanks, Karman, for your question. I'm not very sure if Anuradha is here or not.
We were lost.
Yeah, so definitely we would like to hear more about that. But over to you, Priyanka, till then.
Yeah, but we need to wait for her a bit for the vote of thanks. I think she'll try and connect again.
I also think you really mentioned a great about the fears and the safety and all. So, yeah. Good to see a good strength of women really asking questions and exploring everything together with this author. Thank you everyone for being part of this.
just let me see. Is she back? Yeah.
Sorry, Karman. What was the question? I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. You did. Okay, you're there.
Yeah.
Yeah, hello.
Look
You
at the
did.
sunset.
Right. Oh, beautiful. Lovely.
Yes, Karman. Tell me.
You did mention your fears. You did mention that you are aware of the lack of safety for women in India. How do you conquer your fears? What do you do? Do you just go out despite your fears and say, "Chalo, we'll see, we'll take it as it comes," or do you toughen yourself up for going? What do you do psychologically? What do you do physically? What do you do?
Yeah, very important question, Karman. Thank you for asking this. So of course, I have fears, and I'm aware. Being born in Haryana and in Rohtak district and a small village, I'm aware of everything that happens around in a lower middle class family. So I've taken buses and public transport all my life. So also, I would say, in a way, I'm lucky that I know all of that, and Haryanvi is my language, so I feel very empowered when I speak in Haryanvi. So I think that's one psychological tool that I use, that I talk in Haryanvi. Very powerful language, very rustic language, very desi language. So that keeps me grounded. Also, I travel in a car that is very desi. All the things I'm telling you to which which help me overcome or with my fears. So I have a Scorpio, a Purana Scorpio that I travel in with an HR number and with a Haryanvi girl. I wear tracksuit when I'm driving. So even when I have to stop on a dhaba in the night, I've not come out of an SUV. Sorry, I'm not come out of a sedan where I'm like, no, I don't want to look sophisticated. I want to look very like, okay, she's very desi. So I wear either track pants, track suits, or kurta pajamas, where I know that. So these are some things that I do psychologically to keep myself okay. And also I feel like we'll see. Like I'm ready to fight always, and I'm ready to like really go out there. So I never stop myself from doing something because of the fears, but definitely I am afraid sometimes. It has happened a lot that cars follow me sometimes. So I am also like, okay, I will also make sure that I'm talking to someone when that happens. I take the number down, I take a photo, and I make sure that the person sees that I've taken a photo. So I will do all those things which are unfortunate, which should not happen. Like a woman has to be so careful while traveling. The whole idea of traveling is to be carefree and to just just have fun and just be like relaxed, but you can't be super relaxed in India, which is a shame. But this is what I have felt, that I need to be extra careful. So I am aware of what I'm wearing. Unfortunately, I have to be, but I would advise that you be careful. So you pick your battles. You pick to wear whatever you want, but also don't put yourself in danger because of that. So things I do, like for example, if I'm living in a village, I'm staying in 25 kilometers from here from Jaisalmer. So I make sure I go there before sunset, before dark. And also I want the villagers to trust me, so I wouldn't do anything, wear anything, or do anything that makes them, oh, she's not one of us.
Right.
Or she is from the city, or she is. So I would do things sometimes consciously that they trust me more, and so also they trust their girls with me, their children with me. So they don't feel like, अरे ये तो शहर की लड़की है, तो ऐसा नहीं बनना है. So I would do a few things consciously which I wouldn't do if I was in a free surrounding, just to make sure that they wouldn't say कि वो ऐसा ना बोले कि हम अपनी लड़कियों को ऐसा नहीं बनाएंगे because हमें ऐसा नहीं चाहिए. So I would just do some things too. So now, like in the morning also, three women from the village came with me, and they're 3 women and a girl with them. So I dropped them to the city. They had to go to the hospital. So they send their girls with me. They come with me. I've been living there for 10 days. So when I have been able to establish that trust, so I do these things, a few things that I can think of right now.
You kind of blend in.
Blend in. I try to blend in. Yes. It's important not to show off that
Or
I
stand out.
eat different. No, not to stand out, not to show off. I try to blend in as much as possible.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Carmen, for your question. And over to you, Priyanka. Thanks.
Thanks, big thanks to Anuradha that you traveled all back to Jaisalmer just to be part of this event.
And then still got disconnected so many times. I'm so sorry.
No worries. At least we could have you around. That was great interaction, whichever, how much we had. Thank you so much. And I would like to thank all the audience to patiently be with us all this while. And I would take this opportunity to thank Prabha Khaitan Foundation, which gives us this opportunities to all of us in Nagpur for this beautiful interactions we have with the authors. I would also like to thank our media partner Lokmat and our hospitality partner Radisson Blue Hotel Nagpur for giving us all this, arranging everything for us and giving us the coverage for all the events that we do. And we would love to have you in Nagpur once everything settles, and we'd have a uninterrupted great conversation again. And
yes, I traveled to Nagpur as a child when I was 10 years old. I remember Santre ki barfi.
Oh, you have to. You can't forget Satra. You can't disassociate Satra and Nagpur ever.
I remember Santre ki barfi. I'm like, ye kaise ho sakta hai?
I think it was a first for all of us who are not from Nagpur. Santri ki barfi bhi hoti hai, so that was yeah, that's a quite standout.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Thanks everybody.
Thank you. I'll just turn the camera around for everyone for one last time.
Oh,
This is Jaisalmer Fort, and that's sunset for you. And I'm sitting in a really nice restaurant. It's a hotel, Mystic Jaisalmer. So, and they know me because I came here, when I traveled first. So they just let me sit here the whole day. They give me free food, free coffee, free chai. It is home for me now.
beautiful.
So yeah, it's lovely. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye bye. Bye Priyanka. Bye bye everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.